Yarny friends, welcome back to Friday Fun with Sara. Now Friday Fun is where we do smaller projects and learn little techniques that will help us with our bigger projects. This week is a two-part. This is the first part and we're going to make this adorable little bag. It's the perfect size to toss in your phone, your wallet, your keys, and go. And so I'm calling it the Let's Go shoulder bag. It's great for anybody, whether you're an adult or a child. And it's a super easy pattern. You can make it even bigger if you want to. And so what we're going to do is this week we're going to stitch up this bag. We're going to learn how to make an I-cord for a handle. And then next Friday, I'm going to show you how to line the inside of this bag. And it's a really simple technique. You can use it on any size bag. Also, the written pattern and instructions with pictures are on that blog. And as always, you can find that link down in the notes underneath this video. Now let's find out what we need to stitch up part number 1. What you need to make our Let's Go shoulder bag is some bulky weight number 5 yarns. I decided, since I had some of this left from a previous project, the Ogo Colorama by Yarnspirations, I thought that I would just use it and make a wonderful striped bag. But of course, you don't have to use solids. You can use variegateds. Just get in your yarn stash and come up with some colors. Now, you're going to need approximately 3.5 ounces of this bulky weight number 5 yarn. So you can mix and match and do whatever colors that you want, even with the handle. You're going to need 2 rings, and these are 1-inch rings, one for each side of your bag. And these are just basic little rings that I got at my craft store. Now you can use metal, plastic, or wood. It's totally up to you. I really like these silver ones, and I think they look nice. We're going to be stitching today with our K-hook, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. And then of course you'll need a needle for weaving in ends and then a pair of scissors. All right, let's get started on our bag. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 35 chains. Now you want to chain these initial chains just a little bit loose. We're going to be making our bag in a long rectangle and folding it up, and we don't want one side to be puckered up, all right? So we're chaining 35 chains just a little bit loose. I have chained my 35 chains just a little bit loose. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. There's our first one. We'll go in the second. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 of those loops. And now we're going to stitch 1 half double crochet in each of those chains, working all the way across. 1 half double crochet in each of our chains across. I stitched 1 half double crochet in each of my chains across. We began in the second chain from the hook, so I have 34 half double crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be working in the back loops only. And if you look at the top of your work, you'll see there's 2 sets of loops. The loops that are on this side are the front loops. The loops that are on the back side are the back loops. We're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the first 4 stitches, working in the back loops only. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. And our chain 1 here did not count as a stitch, so we started in the first stitch. Now in the next stitch, we're going to stitch a triple. So we'll put 2 loops on our hook. We'll go in that back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third 2. And so now what we're going to do is 4 single crochets. 1 single crochet working in the back loops only in the next 4 stitches. Now we'll stitch a triple in the next stitch, again working in the back loops only. And you'll know you're doing it right when you see this ridge right along that edge where we aren't stitching in those front loops. Let's turn it over and look at it, and you can see there's my triple, and then here's that triple there. And so the repeat across is 1 single crochet in the next 4, 2, 3, 4, and a triple stitch in the next. Always working in the back loops only. 1 single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, triple stitch in the next. 1 single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, triple stitch in the next, again always working in the back loops only all the way across. All right, single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, triple stitch in the next, and then 1 single crochet, and those last 4 still working in the back loops only. And chain 1. So this is how it looks on the back, and then we turn it over to the front. You can see we have those 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triple stitches with 4 single crochets in between each one. And of course there's 4 at the beginning and 4 at the end of our row. And that's the way that row 2 should look. All right, let's do row 3. So for row 3, we're going to stitch a row of half double crochets, stitching in the back loops only. Our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so yarn over, go in that back loop, and stitch a half double crochet. There we go. So 1 half double crochet in each of the singles and the triples, working all the way across, working in the back loops only. I stitched that row of half double crochets, stitching in the back loops only. So I have 34 half double crochets. We'll chain 1 and turn. And now we're just going to repeat what we did on the row with the triples. So we'll stitch a single crochet in the first 4, working in the back loops only. Then we'll stitch our triple in the next. One single crochet in the next 4. Triple in the next. Always working in the back loops only. And then we'll repeat that, working all the way across, just like we did on row 2. All right, so 4 single crochets, triple, 4 single crochets, triple, and repeat across, working in the back loops only. So I repeated that all the way across, stitching 4 single crochets, then a triple, and repeat all the way across. I'll go ahead and do my chain 1, and you can see how that looks on the front. Isn't that pretty? All your triples should be lined up. And so now at this point, we're just going to continue to repeat row 3 and row 4 for 12 more rows. I did change colors every 4 rows. And what you can do if you want to change colors, bring in your next color before you do your chain 1, because you don't want that little blip of color when we turn. And then of course you'll have ends to weave in. But you'll just continue doing the same thing, because our next row would be half double crochets, so you just start in with your half double crochets. And then of course you'll cut off your blue one and weave these ends in. All right, so what we're going to do is the striping or color changes is totally up to you and what yarn you have in your yarn stash. And we're going to continue to repeat row 3 and row 4 for 12 more rows, alternating our rows. So here is my actual demo. The other one I was showing you, I started with the sort of gray color. I wanted you to be able to see my stitches. This is the one that I'm actually working up. And I started with the blue into kind of a royal, then a gray, then this cream color. And this is how it will look after your 16th row. So what we want to do is we chain 1, and then we'll go ahead and stitch 1 more row of 1/2 double crochet in each of those stitches across. And again, we're still stitching in the back loop only. That way we're ending on a half double crochet row. So for our 17th row, just 1/2 double crochet in each of the back loops across. I stitched that last row of 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across, working in the back loops only. So now we're going to form the bag. We're going to take the bag, do not cut your yarn yet, of course. We're going to take the bag and fold it over, the right side on the inside with the wrong side out. All right. Now we're going to come over here. I'm turning my bag. Here's my loop where I chained 1. And we're going to slip stitch the side of the bag closed. And we're going to be going through both loops because we want it to be sewn nice and securely. So we'll go through the first set of loops on this side and the first set of loops on this side and stitch a slip stitch. You go in, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on your hook. And so we're just stitching the side of the bag closed with slip stitches, working down the side, I should say down the side, the first side of our bag. Stitching the front to the back with slip stitches. And we're not working in the back loops only. We're working through both sets of loops. So we get a nice, secure side of our bag. I've stitched all the way down the side. I'm going to cut my yarn and tie off. And it's very important that you take that needle and weave this corner in securely. Make sure you go through stitches and some of those fibers of the stitches so that it will hold. All right? All right, now we're going to do the other side of our bag. So here's the other side of our bag. I decided to switch to the color that matches it. You don't have to, I just wanted to. And instead of starting at the top, we're going to start at the bottom. So make sure everything's lined up. We're going to go in those first 2 stitches at the bottom, and we'll bring in that yarn. I'm going to go ahead and make a chain 1 so that stays secure. My ball of yarn in my yarn bowl there. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to go in, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on our hook, working all the way up the side of our bag. And when you get to the top, don't tie off this time, because we're going to use this color to form the top edge of our bag. So we're just doing the same thing on this side that we did on this side, slip stitching the side of our bag together. So I stitched up that second side. I need to weave this end in, and I'll do that in just a second. But what we're going to do next, leave your yarn attached. Make sure you do a chain 1 and pull your loop just a little bit so it doesn't come undone. And we're going to flip our bag out to the right side. I always kind of poke those corners so I know that corner's out. Be careful, don't poke your finger through. All right, so here's the front of our bag, and isn't that the cutest thing? I just love it. And the front and the back of the bag look the same. And here's our seam on this side. Here's our seam on this side. Nice and neat. Isn't that the cutest thing? What a fun little bag. So now what we're going to do is we're going to form a trim around the top edge of our bag. So where we ended, grab that loop, and we're going to evenly single crochet around the top of the bag. Now there's not a set amount of stitches that you need, okay? But you want to make sure that you stitch in stitches, if at all possible, and not the holes. And you're going to kind of go through those stitches. If my hook will let me. There we go. And stitch a single crochet evenly around. And I just stayed with this blue color that I sewed up this side with. But if you want to switch to a different color, you certainly can. That's one of the fun things about using up leftover yarns. Looks like I've got an end out there. Let's get that out of the way. Looks like I need to weave that one in just a little bit better. There we go. And that happens sometimes when you stripe your bag or whatever you're working on. Your ends can come out a little bit. So I just need to take my needle and weave that in just a little bit better. And of course, I'll do that in just a second. Alrighty, so now what we're doing is we're just evenly single crocheting around the top edge of our bag. And so what we'll do is we'll do this all the way around and join back to our first single crochet. I single crocheted evenly all the way around the top of my bag. I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to repeat what we just did. We're going to single crochet in that first stitch, and then single crochet in each of the single crochets around. And this will give us a nice sturdy top of our bag. That way when we put our handle on, it'll be nice and secure. And then next week when we add our, not trim, our lining, we'll have something to sew it to. All right. Now you do not have to line your bag if you do not want to. I wanted to do this particular bag because I wanted to show you how to do the I-cord that I'm getting ready to show you, and I wanted to show you how you can easily line any bag. All right, so I'm just going to continue working around the top of my bag, stitching 1 single crochet in each single crochet around. I stitched that second row of single crochet around the top of my bag. I joined to my first single crochet. I'm going to cut my yarn. I'll go into the next single crochet. pull that loop in, and we'll tie that off to the inside of our bag. And here's our seam on this side and our seam on this side, and you can see it makes a really nice size bag. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes and weave this end in, and now I'm going to show you how to make that I-cord handle. So this is the I-cord that I'm going to show you how to make. It's made with 2 strands alternating to make the sort of striped colors. It's a lot easier than you think it is, and I think you're really going to like making them. When you first start doing this particular method of doing an I-cord, the hardest part is keeping your tension and keeping it from being just a little bit clumsy. So take your time and practice, okay? So I'm going to take 2 strands, one of 2 different colors, and I'm going to make just a little knot, and that doesn't serve a purpose in the I hook. It only helps with keeping both of the strands together when we get started. All right, so I'm going to begin with just 1 strand of yarn, and I'm going to make that slip knot, and I'm going to chain 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to turn. I'm going to go in the first loop and pull up a loop. Then I'll go in the next loop and pull up a loop. All right, now I'm going to grab that second color, and you can see I'm holding the first color with my finger. All right, so I'm all ready. I'm going to hold those first 2 loops on this side with my thumb and take my hook out of it. I'm going to go around and grab that white yarn, that's my second color, and pull it through the first loop. Now I'm going to go back in that second loop and pull a white one through that loop. Then I'm going to go in the third loop and pull a white loop through that loop. All right, so now I'm going to drop the white one, and I sort of switched them there, and the blue one's on top. All right, I am again going to hold those first 2 loops, pull my hook out, and I'm trying to go slow so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to grab that yarn, pull it through, then we'll go in the next loop, pull it through, then we'll go in the next loop and pull that through. And what I do at this point is I sort of snug down that loop just a little because I'm changing colors. I'm going to hold those 2 loops with my thumb. I'm going to grab that color and bring it in my first loop. Then we'll go in the next loop, grab that color, pull it through, go in the next loop, grab that color and pull it through, and then sort of snug that down. And as we stitch this, it's going to curl in. All right, so I'm going to switch yarns again. I'm going to pull that to the front and put my second color to the back. Now you can do this with 2 yarns that are the same color. I just find when I'm learning and practicing, it came in really handy to use 2 different colors so that I can see more of what I'm doing. All right, we're going to snug that one down a little bit. You'll see this start to curl in on the back. We'll switch those, grab those 2 loops with my thumb, grab that color, pull it in, go to the next loop, pull it in, go to the next loop, and pull it in. Snug that down and switch colors. And you can use I-cords for lots of different things. They make nice belts, handles for purses, of course, and lots of other things. And if you want something to take with you that's just a mindless project that can be used, this is one of those kind of projects. And see how I'm making that? It's rolling in, and you'll begin to see on the back that that's going to roll in as well. And you'll just keep going. Switch those colors, hold those 2 loops with your thumb, grab that next color, pull it into your first loop, the next loop, and then the next loop. If you lose one of your loops, for instance, let me pull this out. You pulled and got that first color in there, but you went to get this one and it pulled out. All you have to do is go in and pull it back through. All right, I'll do a few more and then I'll get it going so that I'll have a nice long I-cord for my bag. One of the important things is after you finish those 3 stitches, snug that down and switch your color. Grab your 2 loops, pull it out. See that one pulled in? Just got to grab it again. And snug that down. That snugging down is what causes this to curl in and make a nice cord. Now I decided to do this with this one because I'm using a thicker yarn. And you can do this with any weight yarn. And you can see this doesn't really matter down here where I made that knot. You can just take that knot out when we go to attach it to our bag, okay? It was just something to help us so that we keep our 2 yarns together. You could always clip it or, you know, use a paper clip or something and hold it together. It's kind of up to you. It's just something that I do that helps me. All right, I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to get on this and get my I-cord done and show you how to add it onto your bag. Now you can make this as long as you want for your bag. So once you've made your I-cord as long as you want it for your bag handle, we're going to switch. We're going to pull those out again. We'll bring in this one. And then we won't bring in another loop. We'll go to the next loop and pull that loop through that loop. Then you'll go to the next loop and pull that loop through that loop. All right, and then we'll just cut those. If you're going to sew this on, let me go ahead and tie that off there. Then you can use these ends to attach it to your bag. And it's the same thing with these ends. So make sure you don't cut this, but you untie this. And then I realize this is too short for a bag handle, but we'll use those ends to attach this onto our bag. There's your back, there's your front. Super short I-cord, huh? Now you can sew your strap right onto your bag if you want to. That will work just fine. Just take your needle and stitch it on. But I wanted to add these cute little rings. They make great little addition to the bag. I also feel like they make it a lot stronger. And so what you'll do, here's our side of our bag, and you'll just take your ring. You'll thread matching yarn onto your needle, and you'll just make some whip stitches. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail so that I can weave that in and make sure everything is secure. I just like doing it this way. I think it makes a much sturdier bag, and it also adds, or I should say a sturdier handle, but it also adds a cute little effect with that ring on there, I think. You don't have to do it with the ring. It's not necessary. It's just an extra. All right. So I'll do a bunch of these stitches. I'm going to make sure that ring's not going anywhere. And then we'll just weave that in. And because I'm using matching yarn, it's going to match up just perfectly. All right, so there's that ring. I'm going to weave that in, and then I'll sew the other ring on the other side. So now I have my 2 rings sewn on. And really, whether you're sewing it onto a ring or onto the bag itself, you're pretty much doing the same thing. So I have these 2 tails of yarn. I'll thread the first one onto my needle. We'll line this up the same way we did on the bag, and we'll just make some stitches. We want to make sure we left enough yarn so that it's going to be secure. All right, and I'm going to undo that one, and I'm going to grab the other one. I'm going to make sure I'm in the bottom of this so it lays pretty. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just make some stitches that are going to hold that in place. And we do quite a few of them. Test it, make sure it's on there secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot. And I'm doing this because I want that to be nice and secure. And then I'm going to bring those to the back. I'm going to use my hook. I think it'll be a little quicker. Of the strap. There we go. So now they're on the back side of the strap and I can weave these in. Now I added that little extra knot. You know, we don't normally knot when it comes to crochet, but I left my strands a little short, so I'm going to do this a different way. Just go through like this. But we don't normally add a knot, but I do that sometimes on a handle because I want to make sure that that's going to stay put. When your yarn's a little short like it is right now, this is another technique that I do. I just stick the end of it in, rethread it until I run out, because I should have left a little bit longer piece there. And I'll do the same thing with this one. And that's our first handle. And then we'll go around over here and we'll do the same thing on this side as well. And then our handle will be secure. And again, if you don't want to use rings, you don't have to. You can attach this to your bag the exact same way using these 2 strands of yarn, and it'll be nice and secure, and it'll even still be cute. Like I said, I just really like adding a little extra hardware to my bags. You can use D-rings. You can use any ring, wooden, plastic that you want. I don't know. I don't really want to use a plastic because I don't know if it's going to be sturdy enough once I get my phone and my wallet in there. All right, so I'm going to finish weaving those in, and our bag will be done for this week. Wasn't that super fun? I just love using up scrap yarn and make something fun and useful. And don't forget, next week we're going to make a liner for this bag. And what you're going to need is some fabric. And let me show you what I've got here. I went in my fabric stash and I pulled out this fun fabric. Now you don't have to be a sewer. You don't have to even use this particular fabric. Something that I like to use sometimes when I'm going to line a bag is just hit my local Hobby Lobby, Joann's, or any craft store and pick up some of those cotton bandanas. They're a nice size. I think they're usually 12 by 12, and you just need 2 of them for most projects. You can use any liner fabric that you want. Another good option is leftover pillowcases or sheets. Maybe it's messed up because your dog ripped a hole in it, but the other part of the fabric is fine. You can use any leftover fabrics, maybe your husband's old dress shirts. Like mine, he's retired. He's not going into the office anymore. So any kind of fabric that you want to use to line your bag will work just fine. You need 2 pieces that's 12 by 12. And then you need, of course, a pair of scissors, some thread to sew with, and a needle. Now I'm going to be hand sewing it, but I usually also sometimes do it on my sewing machine. So I'll show you the instructions on how to do it. And if you prefer to do it on your sewing machine, you certainly can. It's going to be a fun project, and I think you're going to really like how easy it is to line a bag. So I'll see you next week on Friday Fun with Sara. Bye-bye now.